Can I get some stealth, please?
Yeah, this place is super creepy at night.
All right, here's the stage. Let's do what we came here for.
For you, sir.
Who the hell would be in here right now?
Another pointless found footage movie. Great. Okay. The Gallows. I remember when this movie was coming out, and I remember in the trailer, there's like so many, like, of those like, quotes from like critics saying like, "Oh my god, it's so scary." I never paid attention to those because it's just like, yeah, I can't tell if you were paid to say that or what, but like, okay, whatever. So I never pay attention to those. I'd heard the reputation that this movie had going into it, and yet I still put my time on the line and just said, you know what, I'll just watch it. And I'm glad I watched it because I learned that this is probably the worst found footage movie I've seen. Now, I don't think, or it's at least one of the worst. I don't think it's the worst, but it is one of the worst. So the story of this one, it's a couple, like bunch of high school students. They go into their school because their school is putting on a production of a play called The Gallows, where they had not done in years due to the fact that the last time they did it, an actual student got hung and got killed. So they stopped doing it until now. And the main character, this guy, he's in love with a girl who's in the play, and he kind of wants to do it just because of her. He wants to like try to date her, while his best friend and his girlfriend are constantly saying like, dude, no, like, this needs to stop. This, you know, you don't want to do it. You're just doing it for love, you sick freak. Like, basically being like that frat and stuff, and I hate that. I hate that in horror movies, where they try to be like that bro. I hate it. So that night, they break into the school and they start like destroying the set, when all of a sudden something is there and they're secluded and they're being hunted down by a spirit. It's ridiculous, and I hated this movie. So let's talk about it. Like I said, I remember when this came out, and I was just going like, no, I'm good. I'll skip it. And yeah, it wasn't until recently where I was like, you know what, I'll despite it being a waste of time, I still like want to see what they do, because I love movies. And then sometimes I get those slaps in the faces after I watch movies, and it's like, what were you thinking? Did you really think there was going to be art to this? And this is one of those movies. Everybody I hated, even the main character. Even the main character, where he was kind of like being like, I'm not too sure about any of this, and he's against the idea, but it's just like, dude, just stop, please. And then they do something like in the middle of the movie where it's like, that is so out of the ordinary, that is going to come up at the end of the movie. And sure enough, I was right. And I was like, you guys are just brainless. It's just like, why did this happen? I'm not going to say what it is, just in case if you haven't seen this, please don't. It's something where it's just like so out of the ordinary that I immediately knew. It's just like, yeah, this is suspicious. And then at the end of the movie, it was like, yep, I knew it. So like the end of the movie ended exactly as I thought it was going to be. And I was like, yep, that's what I thought was going to happen. Great. Thanks. Great job, guys. Great job. And yeah, I did not like this movie at all. At all. It was boring. It's just a bunch of, it's another horror movie where a bunch of high school or college kids that are doing something that they shouldn't do, and then they're being just awful, terrible people, and they're just going like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? It's like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that in the first place. Like, duh. And it's just like, I'm so sick and tired of of like these horror movies where they have a whole bunch of high school kids and college kids, and they just are the most awful, shallow people. It's like high school and college, yes, they definitely had those people, but not everyone sucked. So it's like, really? You're just gonna give us horror movies where they just are focusing on the bad folks? And to be honest, it's like, you know what? To be honest, if it gets rid of them, fine. And it makes high school or college more bearable, fine. So that's what I've learned, is that a lot of horror movies, they, I think it's all about just bad writing, and just them purposely going like, oh well, these characters, you're supposed to hate them. It's just like, if I'm supposed to hate them, then just kill them off right now. Like, please, because I don't want to hear any more words coming out of their mouths. And you don't. You're stuck with them for an hour and a half. So, great. And, okay, to be completely fair, there were a couple times where I was thinking, okay, they could have pulled this thing off. Like, there's parts in it where I'm like, okay, that's not a bad idea. I did like what they were doing with that. And I was going like, okay, like, I'll eat my words. But they completely fumbled with it. It's like, oh, man. Like, I can't have that. Like, I can't have anything right now, can I? Thanks, movie. And it's just, it's one of those found footage films where they just don't really care. And another thing, too, is that this movie, I don't necessarily think it should have been filmed like found footage. It would have been, they could have stuck with the found footage element, which they did, but also at the same time, if they filmed it like a real movie, there was a lot more I think they could have done, or they could have brought those elements into found footage element and still done a better job. And it's just, they don't care. They're just like, we're just going to get to the next point. And it's just like, okay, no character development. They're just going to be shallow the entire time. Yep. Okay. Thanks, movie. So I'm done with these high school or college movies where they don't write the actual people like, I don't know, human beings, and just write them like idiots. And it's just, I'm sick and tired of it. It's old, and I'm tired of it. And I think the only thing they're able to nail is the atmosphere. And with the atmosphere, there have been times where, like, I've been to school where I've been like, I think this place is haunted, or something like that. But unfortunately, the atmosphere can only get you so far. You have to have something there, and this movie does not do that. It doesn't even try to attempt that. So it's awful. I hated this movie, and it just makes me look at it and go like, okay, a found footage movie. This is exactly what you don't do. This is exactly what you don't do. Like, hey, you see that character? Don't write them that way. You see this character? Don't write them this way. You see what they're doing here? Don't do that. Because, it's not good. So it's, I'm tired of these kinds of movies where they're just cheap found footage movies, just meant to be a quick buck, and don't really care about the story. They're just like, let's have a premise and just make it up as we go. Like they have a crayon and they're filling it out as they go. And it's not good. I did not like the movie, and it needs to just go bye-bye. This is terrible. I appreciate them for trying to do a found footage movie instead of a school, like a haunted school. I do appreciate that because that is kind of cool, but that can only get you so far. And unfortunately, with the situations of the characters, it's like people like to throw around like, well, what would you do in this case? I'm like, what would I do? I'd be home sleeping and not caring. Like that's what I'd be doing in this situation. So I would not be in their shoes because I'm not that stupid. So, oh well.
Hello?
Senior Charlie Grimm will die after a prop malfunction during the high school's presentation of the Gallows.